Good afternoon, gorgeosities. How are you all? Are you good? I hope so. Okay, so I'm carrying on the same day as I was having my little about compost gate. The plan for today is the vegetable Hokey-Cokey, because I'm going to put some plants in, take some plants out, and all that. At the end of, oh my goodness, I'm sweating so much, I need to mop. At the end of that previous video, it started to drizzle. Excuse me. The reality. Yeah, it had started to drizzle, and it drizzled for, I don't know, half an hour or so. It's very refreshing. The drizzle stopped, the sun's come back out. It's really, really hot and humid. It's so steamy out there today, it's crazy. And I was going to get straight on and take you up to where I've got the broad beans that are coming out and a new thing to go in. And suddenly, it was like open season with the strimmers. It's crazy. I think there must have been about 6 people all strimming at once, and a couple of them were electric. Petrol strimmers, they make so much noise. So it's literally been going on for an hour. So noisy, and I thought, well, there's no point in me turning the camera on because you won't hear a thing. Excuse me. But also, you know, it's something about the sound of the petrol strimmers. It just makes me grind my teeth. And that's not what I want to do on camera. So during that hour, I've just started to plug a few gaps in the cathedral bed. I have pretty much got rid of all my spare tomatoes, all my spare squash. I think I had 5 tomato plants left. 3 of them I've put in the cathedral bed, and underneath them I've put my one leftover wolf and butternut. The other couple of spare tomatoes I'm actually going to take and plant them somewhere in my town, in a public place. I'm not going to say where at the moment, to just see how they fare. But yeah, we've got quite a few little pocket pop-up guerrilla gardens dotted around the place. So they'll be going off there later today. So yeah, that was a good thing to get done, plugging those few gaps. I'm really... I'm apologetic about this mega glow. I can't begin to tell you how sticky it feels out there today. Anyway, yes, so today the first job is the broad bean harvest, get the plants out, get the new plants in. It hasn't been my best harvest ever, I've got to say. I've been taking quite a few handfuls each time I'm in the garden, taking those home with me and cooking them and enjoying them fresh. There will be a few for freezing, but not many this year, all because of the mice damage last autumn. So I've always sown my broad beans in the autumn in order to get an earlier harvest for 2 reasons. One, so I can get the harvest out and get the coco de paimpol in. Obviously I've had to do that differently this year. But also because the earlier the harvests come, the less likely the plants are to get ruined by black fly, which is inevitable with broad beans. And I have had black fly. I was trying to let the ladybirds do the work for me. They couldn't keep up, it was getting really grotty. So in the end, I've pretty much cut nearly all the foliage off them. So yes, the first sowing in October got eaten by mice. The second sowing in the beginning of November, most of it got eaten by mice. I think I had maybe 5 or 6 plants survive from those 2 sowings. Sowed some more in February in pots, in the cold frame, under tulle. I can't remember how many germinated, maybe 20. Then popped those into the garden, and they're the last ones. Now they're just coming to fruition. So that's just me by way of saying why I have such a meagre harvest this year. It's a shame because broad beans have been one of my bankers over the years, and I love them. But you know what? Never mind. I got a few, and with a bit of a rejig of the garden in terms of moving the coco de paimpol to another bed, in the end it doesn't matter that they're coming out now. And I've got something fun, new to me, to try to go in their place. So come on, without further ado, let's go up the garden, do some harvesting and do some planting. Just before I start, I'm wondering if any of you are as messy as me when you're about to get on with the job in the garden. I mean, look, fork, nets, stool, bucket for harvest, bits and bobs, compost, brassicas to go in, but oh my goodness, it's a tip, isn't it? But it's all the bits and pieces I need, and this is why I always spend so long at the end of the day tidying up. Never mind. Now, just before I start harvesting, I'm going to point out the beans in this corner. They look pretty grotty, don't they? That's because they're drying. These are the ones I selected for seed saving, partly because, oh, another strimmer is starting, partly because I want to put my row of brassicas in here. That's the lentils just there, so I thought, oh, that's great, they're just going to be this side of where I put nets. Also, these were some that actually did survive the mice and the winter, so I'm hoping they're a bit stronger. There's about 20 pods in total. Let's say I get an average of 4 beans per pod. That will give me 80 seeds, which is just about enough. Plus, I do have a bit of leftover seed from last year, so that should be enough. And you can see from these, I mean, it's a motley crew that's left, isn't it? Where, can you see where I've chopped out all the top of the foliage? Where it was all, I mean, it was just absolutely devoed by the black fly. And the little sculpture. So pretty, isn't it? I never tire of these gorgeous things, so I'm delighted I've got one in my garden this year. Right, stop that, Vivi. Get working. Let's dive into this lot. Literally every time I move, I break into a spirit. Okay, well, this bit is not rocket science. If I was leaving the plants in to harvest, I would just do a sharp tug down on the beam. That leaves the plant intact. But I'm not bothered about the plants because they're coming out. So we can just rattle through this lot. All the leftover bit of plants into the barrow, chop up into the compost. Now I've got a feeling, yeah, I had a feeling, and it's true. This ground has turned to concrete again. So I'm not going to dig it completely like I did, say, with the garlic. All I'm going to do is give it a bit of a forking, just to break the surface up a bit, just so water, apart from anything, can get in there. Get some of these roots out. I'll top dress it with some chicken poo. That also will need a wetting. And then get planting the next crop. And the peas, my peas are pretty much over too. So they'll come out and I'll harvest whatever is left of them too. Always the best bit, isn't it? The harvesting. And like I said, this is so poor compared to previous years. But there was a point when I thought I wouldn't get any at all. So I'm delighted to have these few left for the freezer. Yay! Oh yeah, the ground is solid. Oh. I've calmed down. oh my goodness, I was having such a massive hissy fit because once again I've had to properly work this bed. Excuse me, I really didn't want to. I haven't got the time and energy. Like, it's clouded over now, but literally the sun was blazing. I was getting boiling hot. Like I say, I really didn't want to give it the same treatment as, say, the garlic bed. However, I couldn't even get my trowel in to make a planting hole. You know, I could barely get the fork in to get my broad beans out. Anyway, so what I've done, I've sprinkled it with chicken poo, soaked it with a couple of cans of water, come along later to, you know, sort of bash it up. But also because it's, like I was saying in the video the other day about now that I've started my little muck and magic fund, I can't keep going through this. I just can't. It's too hard on my body, and to be honest, it's a little bit soul destroying at times, you know. It's been horrible to get the garden going this year. So, not only did I put the chicken poo on and soak it, I've also tipped out one of my bags of compost. It's not a huge amount, but rather than it just sitting on the top, I've sort of incorporated that a little bit as well, because frankly, you know, the last 2 autumns and I've put compost on the top of the beds, and you think, oh yeah, everyone's like, let the worms do the work, let the worms take it down. They don't. They're too lazy. So I think that's something I definitely have to think about going forward, is get some of this stuff dug in like I used to a couple of years ago. It's only in the last year I've tried not to dig. It hasn't worked. Not going there again. So yes, dug a bit of compost in. Then once it's all planted, another bag of compost to use as a mulch. So anyway, moving on to better stuff. Cauliflowers, yay! This is a variety called All the Year Round. I guess it does what it says on the tin. Never grown collies before. I've never really had the space, but these were a swapsy. They were going begging. So I just had to say yes. So I've got 5 collies, and then I've also got some curly kale I'm going to put in this bed. Now, because it's brassica day, I'm just going to start planting as I talk. Because it's a brassica day, I was chatting with our mate Gary the other day. Let me just space these a bit. So partly talking about Brussels sprouts, because I can't grow them. Generally with the brassicas, I do all right. It's just not the sprouts. But he was telling me that for all his brassicas, he does the same thing, which I don't do. So I'm going to try it this year, which is he always plants them deep. So there's the surface of the soil at the moment. I'm going to plant it pretty much up to that first leaf. That one's going to go, oh, there. I was gentle. Plants them deep, stakes all of them, gives all of them a support, waters thoroughly when they get planted, and then doesn't give them any water for a couple of weeks, makes them go find it. What I do always do with my brassicas is, once they're planted, really firm them in. They hate rocking about. So I'll firm them, I'll hand firm, but then the soil's still pretty lumpy. But then I'll go along and I'll use the heel of my foot, really heel them in, compact that soil again. Actually, before I compact the soil, get a stake in. So yeah, it's fun to try something new. Let's, yeah, I'll pop that in. Like I say, deeper than it grew, let's see what, well, I'm not going to be able to tell the difference of these because I've never grown collies before, but yeah, let's see how they do. Once they're all in, do that watering, then they will get a netting because the pigeons have been voracious this year, pecking everyone's brassicas to smithereens. So, not going to take any chances. No chances. And then, what is that root? I think that's a broad bean root. And then, yeah, hope for the best. Keep an eye on them. Wait for those curds to develop. I'm so excited if I can get one, that'd be great. Spacing wise, being a bit tight. I'm going about 18 inches, 1.5 feet. That'll do though. I'm always mean with my spacing. I think the books would probably tell you 2 feet. That's alright if you've got acres, but I don't. Fab. So I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this row, and then I'm going to do 5 curly tails, but I'm just going to slightly do them on the diamond so they're staggered, so as each of their heads is developing, they've got a bit more space. Yay! Oh, I'm getting happier by the minute. I have to say, after that hissy fit, I went and sat outside the shed because honestly, I was at the point, I was so fed up. I'm sick of dealing with this soil. And one of my plot neighbours came over and chatted, and we chatted for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. And she proper cheered me up, so I'm back on it. So I'm just quietly sitting in Kai's garden, admiring her cherry tree. But someone else is also admiring and oh, you got it, have you got it? You naughty bird. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why we net our trees, but this tree is a bit too big to be netted. Oh, Kai, you're going to have no cherries left.
And a few. I don't mind sharing.
Did you super glue this cherry on just to taunt them?
It's obviously not ripe enough. I've had quite a few today.
She's persisting though, isn't she?
Obviously in need.
There's some mouths to feed back at the nest.
You see, the problem is, they were supposed to have the top half, and I was having the bottom half.
Yes, can you go
they're
another?
encroaching now, so. Yeah, Mr. Blackbird's taking me away.
It's such a peculiar weather day. It's 1 minute blazing sunshine, and the next we're having these little showers, but they're not really coming to anything. So a few minutes ago, as you saw, I went over to sit outside Kai's shed for a little break in a natter and watch these naughty, naughty birds. Right, that's plenty of water on them. And now I think it's about to start raining again. Okay, so we've all had a jolly good soak in, and now I'm just going to put one more bag of compost out just on the top as a mulch. I don't know if it'll do the whole bed, probably not. Let's get as much done as possible there. get there eventually. Everything's taking so long this year. Never mind. It's not a race, is it? No one's got the stopwatch on, have they? Oh, missed a bit up here. Okay, let's just tip the rest out now. In the absence, on my back, in the absence of any grass clippings this year, this will have to suffice. Something is better than nothing. This soil. Oh man. Right, get your nets out. So pretty. Oh, even on a slightly odd, slightly grotty day, this sort of beauty. Oh, am I hearing thunder? Goodness me. Oh, camera can't cope with that much. Little beauty. So, here I am under the rose tree, which needs a little bit of attention, quite a lot of attention, but that's for another day. I finally got this last bed dug the other day. Doesn't look much to write home about, does it? Because it's a mashup of any of the dregs of cardboard from the winter, or my spare bricks, what have you, but it's my last squash bed. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it now, because some of the kids have come out and started being noisy, but for the last hour or so, it's been rumbling thunder all the way around. It's going to snip these dead leaves off because they will attract the slugs. Yeah, it's just been rumbling all afternoon. It's still really muggy. It's like I was saying earlier, it feels like we need some kind of big storm to just break this stalemate of drizzle and mugginess. And I was just reflecting on it because in that last hour I've been wetting some of the beds because the rain's not doing anything, frankly. Little teeny tiny showers for 5 minutes are not doing anything other than making me even sweatier. So as I've been wetting some of the beds and putting a bit of compost on as a mulch, I was thinking, you know, work as you talk, Vivi, work as you talk. Today has just felt like a weird day. I've had, gosh, that's a bit generous, never mind. I've had moments of sheer grump today. Getting that bed done, and then I got all my nets in a tangle, you know, where they've got the long toggles on the end where you can sort of draw them to a close. They all got tangled up and I threw the lot down and just none of you have ever, I don't think you've ever seen me angry. I mean, I don't know that I get truly angry as such, but just, yeah, a real roller coaster of emotions today, from like really fed up and snarky to then other moments of feeling really quite calm and blissful. Like now, hello sweetie. Like now, this is feeling calm and blissful again. Oh, I don't know why. It did make me think back to what we were saying about reflecting as I'm going around the garden doing the mulch. Is on these days where it feels stormy. Oh, that's no use down there. It needs to be an eye protector. Yeah, on these days where it feels stormy but the storm doesn't quite happen, I wonder if our emotions are the same. It's like today, did I just need to have a massive major hissy fit, break a plate or something, storm out of the garden, go home, crash doors? Is that what I needed? Oh, look at the roots on that. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad I've stuck around. It hasn't been the sort of magical, blissful day like the other day when I was doing all my resewing and going super slowly. But I've got to say, thank goodness, for example, Kai's been around all day. So we've had little breaks, we've popped over to one another's sheds, obviously keeping our distance, just to sort of sit and chat. Sometimes not even chat, we just both sat there looking out at the birds, eating cherries, what have you. And it's great just having that little bit of company, conversation or whatever. It just sort of brings me back to slightly more level plane. Anyway, yeah. Oh, that's quite generous as well. So, get these last 3 squash in here. I was planning to put 4, but actually because of the rose tree and where its roots are, I thought 3 is better. So the 4th one has gone all the way to the top in the cathedral bed, in the space between the teepees. And I'm trying, as a bit of an experiment, I've put 3 spare tomatoes in there. It's quite crammed in terms of what they're all going to want in terms of nutrients, but I'm hoping that the squash can just romp around on the floor underneath the tomatoes, shade the tomatoes' roots. We'll see. What else was I going to do with the plants? Because everyone's got all the spares they need, so they might as well go there, mightn't they? Now I'm at the stage, just having a little look around. My next session, I'll bring you along for, is my last big planting push until much later in the summer when the onions come out and the brassicas all go in. But this is my last big push now, is to get all the beans planted. So that's all the climbing beans for all the archers. They're all finished now too. And then I've got all the spare cocoa de pampole to plug my direct sewing gaps. There's not too many gaps actually. I'll then have a few left over. They can go under one of the other cathedrals. There'll still be some left over after that, but they're earmarked for various plotters. Evening, sir. That's our Gary. It's that time of day where everyone's starting to come out of the woodwork to do the watering. Yeah, so there'll be a few spares, but that's the next big thing. Get all these beans planted, and then I'll have a day off. I'll have the day off here. There's no such thing as a day off completely yet because of all the watering requirements, and I've just seen behind you in the cold frame the little peppers, my leftover peppers that need a home. I'll think about that. But yeah, after the beans are in, then it's a case of we go into that beautiful world of tinker time when I'll be down here watering, of course, but things like training my tomatoes, little bits of weeding, tying in my cucumbers, my climbing squash, what have you. But essentially, yes, I'm heading into quiet time. Oh, I tell you what, it's long overdue. It feels really, really hard won this year. But yeah, I'm going to sort of stick my neck out now and say, yeah. Oh, look at you, this side of my squash stick. Yeah, I'm going to stick my neck out and say, yeah, got there. Got there in the end. And now if we get a decent bit of rain, because we are still quite warm, if we get a decent bit of rain, oh, it's all going to go bonkers, 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 bonkers. And when it does, yeah, I can't wait to show you the whole garden again, because, yeah, it's really, really starting to look like my garden again. Yay! Brilliant. Oh, my goodness, that sunshine. It's amazing. All right, my lovelies. Well, I need to go over there and get a stick. Another bottom shuffle. Finish this lot off. Chop up my broad bean waste for the compost. Water the garden. It's still not quite ending. I'm going to point you that way. Tidy up after myself. I've got stuff all over the place as usual. So I'm going to crack on with that and say cheerio to all of you for now. I will see you again really soon, back in the garden, to get all these beans sorted out. And also, I'm not sure when, but I'd like to, yeah, I need to organise this in terms of my time. I'd like to have you in the kitchen again soon, because I've got that elephant garlic, which is currently drying in the shed, but I really want to experiment with a soup with it. So if I do that, I'll bring you along to share with me. So until then, please look after yourselves, look after each other, enjoy your beautiful moments in the garden, and if you're having a weird day, like me today, take some time out, take a deep breath, chat to a friend, just try to bring yourself back to yourself. Bye for now.